Salute. The streets are buzzing. Welcome in, Knicks fam, as we break down some film tonight in an off-day special live stream with the chat and CT. Got us buzzing as our New York Knicks now have a big back-to-back coming up, man, in Toronto. And we'll bring you the latest with the injury report. Like I said, man, we'll talk about DEUCE McBride tonight, man, in a special film breakdown. And we'll shout out the chat tonight, man. Welcome in. Hope everyone is doing well. The New York Knicks' #1 defense over the last 18 games, fam. Given up just 103. League leaders on the season, OKC, given up 107. Right. So that just speaks volumes as to the New York Knicks, man, resurgence on the defensive side, holding San Antonio to just 89 points last night, fam. Jose Alvarado has been a massive pickup at the trade deadline in the absence of DEUCE McBride, right? But why do I want to do tonight's live stream centered around DEUCE McBride, man? I think it was a significant performance going under the radar, but we also want to talk about the style and the matchup against Detroit, right? So today, man, we're going to look at some key themes in DEUCE McBride's performance, lone performance against the Detroit Pistons in the first game earlier this season on January 5th, right? The key themes that came out of that performance by DEUCE McBride, who was a -3 in 25 minutes in a 31-point loss. He pushed the pace, he was hitting shots, got other teammates easier shots, and he played his trademark defense, right? So we'll look at that tonight, man. We'll break down the plays in that game. DEUCE, big performance against Detroit, right? And we'll shout you guys out. But let's do some housekeeping first and foremost. Like I said, tomorrow, big back-to-back starts, and the injury report is out, right? And no Mitchell Robinson, right? So we know Mitch has, been sitting on one half of these back-to-backs. We got the Raptors tomorrow night, and then we have OKC flying back to New York City after the Toronto game. No Mitchell Robinson on this injury report, fam. So looks like Mitch will play tomorrow, might sit against OKC. We'll see how that plays out, fam. How are you feeling about it, man? I'm hyped for this big test coming up. The Raptors, Thunder, Nuggets, and then the big West Coast trip continues in LA. Daniel Berry's in the building. Great to see you, fam. We have two Knicks in the top 10, leaders in contested rebounds, right? Mitchell Robinson at 5.3, 61%, and Karl Anthony Towns 4.4 with 37% contested rebounds, man. The leaders in the league. Right, so stand up to our big men. Karl Anthony Towns really having an imprint on the defensive side. So love to see that. And when both are healthy, man, it gives us that look. Some people are talking about the double big lineups and wanting to see more of that, right? And I do not blame them, as the Knicks can control games on the glass and everything that way, right? But we're going to dive straight in, fam. And we'll wait for a couple more people to come through the building. Shez V, great to see you. Hope all is well. Nick Streets, right? Let me bring up the key theme in this one, right? January 5th, right? Why am I doing this again? The key theme is DEUCE McBride hit shots. He was only a -3 in 25 minutes in a 31-point loss. So really significant stat line and performance. DEUCE did not play in the second game against Detroit, didn't play in the third game like we know. Obviously, each game has had different players missing. So I preface this by saying, we look at this exercise tonight and, we don't read too much into each game. But the fact that DEUCE did play once against Detroit, was only a -3 in a 31-point loss in 25 minutes, right? Was significant because the film, as we're going to dive into, shows us how effective, man, DEUCE McBride was and can be against Detroit. right? So we have a poll in tonight's live stream as well, right? How many minutes, ideally, could you see Deuce McBride playing in the playoffs, right? Is it 10 to 15, 15 to 20? Is it 25 to 30, or is it 30 plus, right? Jose Alvarado's here, and he's been, doing a lot of good things that Deuce McBride has been doing for years, and what a pickup Jose has been, and we can't wait to see those two, play together. I can't wait to see those two run amok off the bench, man. I think Deuce deserves 25 plus, right? It depends on obviously how the game is going, but I don't think Deuce should play any less than 25 minutes. I think he's top 5 most important players on our team. And we're going to see in this performance, man, in this special off day film breakdown, right? Now, in this game, the first game, right, there was no Josh Hart, no Landry Shamet, no Mo Diawara, and obviously we didn't pick up Jose Alvarado at this stage. So no Alvarado, Mo, Shamet, and Hart. So those 4 players are key rotation players for the New York Knicks right now. So we're not really focused on the result. We know the Knicks got blown out in this game. The film, and I'll explain why the Knicks lost control of this ball game, the first one of the season on January 5th. But it just goes to show, man, no Hart, Shamet, Alvarado, and Diawara. And the Detroit Pistons were no Duran in this one. Obviously, Jalen Duran hasn't played in any of the games this season. Right, but without further ado, man, let's get straight into it. And I'll bounce off the chat. Ernest Cameron, welcome in. Great to see you. Off day live stream. New York Knicks, no one on the injury report outside of Deuce. Right, looks like Mitch is going to play. Right, but so as we go through, man, the first quarter. So Deuce played most of his 25 minutes in the first quarter, second quarter, and the fourth quarter. The third quarter is kind of where the Knicks lost control and then really lost the ball game, right? As I'll just bring up the box score before we look at the film. So this is the box score of January 5th's blowout loss to Detroit by 31 points, right? You'll see the tracker up top, quarter by quarter, 29-30. So the Knicks closed the first quarter quite strong, and it was a close ball game. Heading into the second quarter, the Knicks lost the second quarter by 9 points. So they had a 10-point deficit at halftime, which is still a ball game. But then obviously the Knicks came out slow and sloppy in the third quarter. Jalen Brunson seemed to hurt his leg earlier in this one. And despite Detroit playing on a back-to-back, right, they were really up for this first game of the season, and they got control of the game. Brunson went a lot of tunnel vision and isolation ball in this one, especially in the third quarter, and had some key turnovers. And then Deuce played strong in the fourth quarter and drilled a number of threes, right? As Deuce finished 6 of 9 and 5 of 6 from downtown, 17 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and just a -3. What was also shocking from this ball game, ladies and gentlemen, was that Karl Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby only had 4 shot attempts each, right? Limited minutes. Cat only played 22 minutes. OG played 28. But that is why this game has to be taken with a big grain of salt, because, well, we've seen this before, and it's a bad habit, and it shouldn't be happening anymore. But yeah, OG and Cat only got 4 shot attempts each. Brunson went isolation hero ball in this one with 21 shot attempts as the Knicks lost control of the ball game in the third quarter. Right, so that paints the story. Let's dive straight in, man. As Deuce McBride comes in early in the first quarter, no Hart. We had no Alvarado, Shamet, and Diawara in this one. D. Ras, great to see you in the building. Right, I'm going to roll each play, and then I'll break it down in the second replay. Right, so we have this one. Deuce McBride's bringing the ball up, and I get straight to the rack. Right, so Knicks down 13-17 in this one. Deuce McBride makes it 15-17, and takes Isaiah Stewart straight to the rack. Right, now we pause it here. Right, this is something that I love to see, and hopefully we see more of, but Brunson off the ball. right? That is the number one quality, I guess, when you're bringing in a Deuce McBride. He's another pull-up threat. And we get Jalen Brunson off the ball, right? We can do a number of things. You can run Brunson off the screen. You can pick and pop with Karl Anthony Towns. Now we have Jose Alvarado, who has yet to play a game with Deuce McBride. Will now have the luxury of switching up their minutes and playing Deuce with more starters or Jose Alvarado with more starters. And we have the other guy to play with the bench lineup too. But good screen set by Cat, and Cade Cunningham, and he's literally frozen right there. And Deuce McBride's quick off the dribble, and I can get downhill. Good spacing as well. 5-out lineup is something we really need to highlight too, fam. As we have OG in the corner, Mikal Bridges, Cat, and JB. JB's right there in the bottom right corner, getting Orsar Thompson out of the play. So that is key. We know all-world defense, great defender on Detroit, give him his props, but he's out of the play in this one. And look at the lane, man. The Red Seas have parted for Deuce McBride to get his first bucket of the game, man. Elite, and I mention elite floor spacing in this one, especially with Cat at the top of the key, and Beef Stew, man, is no match to get to that one. Johnny Cheeba's in the house, right? Now roll to the next play, right? The very next play. Salute to New York City Grays in the building. D is for Deuce. Feeling loose for Deuce's return. He will shore up our 3 and D. So Johnny Cheeba's excited as well to see some Deuce Alvarado minutes. Maybe Brunson more off the ball. You guys let me know, fam. As we roll the second clip, there'll be about 25 to 30 clips just to let you know how this game played out, right? And I really want to highlight this significant performance from Deuce McBride, only a -3 in a 31-point loss, right? So this next play, Deuce pushes off a miss. Jalen Brunson off ball, court spacing is good. Deuce cuts to get Brunson a bucket. So again, Deuce McBride's ball handling. Two-man game with Cat. Stewart cuts it off. OG Anunoby. Deuce cuts to free up Brunson, gives him some space, and Brunson does his little slice, right? So the key thing is here, as we break it down, Cat gets the rebound. The Knicks got a stop, which is excellent, okay? This is one of many plays tonight where you'll see Deuce McBride just push the pace, right? Gets up, doesn't hesitate, gets Cade Cunningham on his back heels, right? Now, this is what the Knicks haven't done well against some good teams defensively outside of last night. And that was a key theme from last night's blowout win over the Spurs, is that they pushed the pace, ladies and gentlemen. When the Knicks have fresher legs and they have more guys that can handle the ball, you see the offense really start to fire on all cylinders. Okay, so Cade does a good job cutting off the dribble with Deuce. So Deuce brings it back out. He resets, does a nice little shifty crossover, and rejects the screen. Now, 3 guys are moving towards Deuce, right? Osar's not quite in the help situation yet. Deuce pulls it back out. Good floor spacing as well, might I note, in this situation once again with Mikal, OG, Brunson, Deuce, and Cat. Now, Cat has a number of things he could do here. He could try to take Beef Stew off the dribble as well. He tries to, cuts it off. OG comes off, and Deuce makes a great cut at this moment, right? Good IQ from Deuce McBride, makes the cut at the right time, and Jalen Brunson is free to do work. See, Deuce McBride continues to relocate in the far corner, and Brunson has a lot of space, but Cade seals the baseline off, but Brunson makes a nice little slithery cut for that easy bucket in that one. Now, next play is a half court set. So this is an off a stop. This is a off a make half court set with 5-out spacing. Jalen Brunson gets Isaiah Stewart switched onto him. and draws the foul, right? So Brunson bringing the ball up in this one for the first time tonight. He's surveying with Thompson on him, rejects the screen, and good switch. He gets Isaiah Stewart out onto him. So why do I highlight this one, fam? Deuce McBride's not really on the ball in the play in this one, but it just highlights, you know, the Knicks getting quality looks, getting Detroit uncomfortable, you know. This is early in the game. The Knicks ended the first quarter 29-30. It was basically a even first quarter, but with JB able to get the spacing that he needs, you get, you know, Beef Stewart into trouble. In this one, Deuce sets a good screen, and those two switch, and Beef Stew is stuck in a dicey situation with that one. JB gets to the line, right? Now, next play, right? So this is still early in the first quarter, fam. But this just highlights how different this first game went because of the early subs. McCullough and Clarkson were major features in this one, ladies and gentlemen. As I roll the clip in a second, you had Clarkson play 19 minutes in this one, came in early in the first quarter. We know he's out of the rotation now. He was a -14. Kolek was a -6 in 19 minutes. Kolek actually had some good moments in this ball game, as we'll break down. And McCullough was a -17 in 16 minutes. This was probably McCullough's toughest game and biggest showcase. Had a couple of nice moments, but was really kind of out of his depth, playing 16 minutes in this one, right? So yeah, these guys are coming in with only 5 minutes and 27 still remaining in the first quarter, right? Clarkson comes in with Michie and McCullough, right? The spacing isn't as good in this situation, right? And we'll see a play here where Brunson puts up a tough shot. Brunson will get the ball coming around the dribble handoff with Michie, tries to shake Orsar Thompson. Beef Stew comes to help. And that's where Brunson, I guess, needs to do a better job getting off the ball with the help coming, right? There'll be a couple of plays tonight where Michie is free to get the ball, but doesn't receive the ball quick enough, right? So Beef Stew comes to, he hedges, but he recovers. Michie doesn't really get in a good enough position yet, and Brunson ends up with a tough contested shot. Now we move on to the next one. This is a great play here where DEUCE pushes off a miss. JB off ball as well. Again, gets good spacing. High pick and roll with Michie, Deuce McBride, and gets to the rack. And Isaiah Stewart makes a hell of a defensive block. So let's roll the clip. Deuce McBride on ball, Brunson off ball. DEUCE comes around the high pick and roll with Michie. But Isaiah Stewart makes one hell of a play. But I take this play, and I know we can replicate that. Deuce McBride pushes off a miss. And this is where the Knicks don't have as good spacing. You see Clarkson. I also kind of want to highlight, I don't really know what Clarkson is doing in this one. As we freeze it here, you got Deuce about to come around the pick. I would like Clarkson to be out there in the corner, but Clarkson here in the paint, and that allows too much congestion. And you got McCullough in the other corner as well. But we want to see more pick and roll with Deuce and Mitch in this situation. Now Clarkson tries to set a down screen, but it doesn't work because it's Isaiah Stewart. He recovers and he gets the block on DEUCE. But I like the on-ball reps from Deuce, off-ball with JB. Now the next play, right? This is another half-court set with good spacing. This time it's Jalen Brunson on the ball, isolation. Michie getting an offensive rebound, but Deuce ending up with the three-point kick out. So JB, good screen set by Michie, but Beef Stew cuts it off. Some isolation ball from Jalen Brunson. Takes a tough contested fadeaway, but who gets the offensive rebound? It's Mitchie for the big kick out and good relocation from Deuce McBride, starting to get loose in this ball game early in the first. Mitch gets the offensive rebound, right? Jaden Ivey not looking and loses Deuce, makes them pay, right? So this makes it 25-27. Good ball game to start. First quarter, Knicks are in it. Deuce McBride playing heavy minutes with Clarkson early and McCullough. We go to that next play, ladies and gentlemen. Salute to everyone in the building. Optimus 2G. New York City Grey says, I would love to see something like this. Focus on the Knicks defense on Cade. I'm sorry, and I believe that is all that matters. Definitely, I feel you. Would love to do one on that. Breaking down Cade and how we can slow him down as well. What's up, Yo Alpha? AP's in the building too. Johnny Chiba says, I repeat, the Cade situation is a job for Sohan's situational play. Yep. I think offensively, the Knicks can still be so much better, but defensively on Cade is going to be absolutely critical. Now, this next play is another Deuce Mitch high pick and roll, but Deuce actually misses Mitch as he gets open. Clarkson fumbles it, and then we end up with a McCall post up. As you see, Clarkson fumbles a little bit. The play has to reset. Good flash from Mikal Bridges, recognizing the space on the weak side. Ends up with a post up, but Mikal Bridges is unable to move his opponent, and he gets the strip, does Ron Holland. Right. So one more time, and then I'll pause it in a second. We'll take a look at what I think Deuce could have done better in this one. Right. Okay, here we go. So good pick and roll. Mitchell Robinson sets the pick right here. Okay, so Paul Reed hard hedges, and Mitchell Robinson is going to put his arm up right now. This is where I need Deuce McBride, who, is not known as a playmaker and a point guard. Why the Knicks see him as an off-ball wing? It's plays like this. Obviously, you see Clarkson there in the corner, but his opponent is, he's going to be in that passing lane. And I think Tyler Kolek, Jose Alvarado, Josh Hart, and perhaps even Jalen Brunson make this read to find Mitchell Robinson with the lob, right? There's not much of a risk. When you look at where Deuce is right now and you see where Mitch is, all you got to do is just throw it up there, fam. And Mitchell Robinson is going to, he's going to absolutely jam this one down, right? There's no big men because all the big men are out at the top. But Deuce McBride doesn't acknowledge that one, finds it to Clarkson, who then fumbles with some contact. That could have been a foul call. But then, as we know, Mikal Bridges not great in this position against a good defender. In this case, good work by Ron Holland. Right, so that's one player where I feel like Deuce needed to make a better decision. Right, now this next play is very promising. So we see the scoreboard now, guys. A minute to go to end the first quarter. Knicks 25, Pistons 30. Knicks getting some quality looks early in this game. Let's roll this play. Elite spacing, and finishes with some JB bully ball. Up and under, right? Not too much to stew on in this one outside of, I'm going to pause it right here. So Deuce McBride, once again, makes a nice cut to get his defender away. But really, Deuce ain't even in a great position. I don't know why Deuce is really in the dunker spot. But nevertheless, 5-out lineup. And this is an ideal situation, right? Jalen Brunson with Dennis Jenkins on him, and JB will take care of the rest, right? Paul Reed ain't even really in a good position to get a stop or a block in this one. So this just highlights the kind of looks we need to be getting against Detroit with the right level of spacing. And look, JB on Dennis Jenkins. It's barbecue chicken all day, every day in this particular scenario, right? Now, we're not even done with the first quarter yet, ladies and gentlemen. Deuce McBride played 6-7 minutes in this first quarter, which just goes to show how critical he is, right? The Knicks have a chance to end the quarter real strong. Now, this is a multi-play clip where Deuce McBride is a defensive menace. He fights over the pick and disrupts 2 shot attempts. Let's roll the clip to end the first. Fights over the screen, seals it off. Got Jaden Ivey stuck in Rikers. Knicks almost get the defensive stop. They get it, but guess what? JB doesn't see the defender tracking back. But look at Deuce McBride. Makes another play on the ball at the point of attack. And that's what Deuce is going to provide. So we freeze it here, ladies and gentlemen. Deuce McBride is unequivocally one of the best pick and roll defenders on our club, fighting over screens and staying attached to his man, right? Does exceptional work fighting over the moving Paul Reed screen in this one, right? The blur that is Jaden Ivey can't even get separation. Good help from Michie in this one. So it was a good team effort. And you deal with a deep contested step back 2 from Jaden Ivey. Knicks get the possession. They get it back. JB ain't looking out. Gets deflected. But I pause it again right here. Deuce McBride, center of your screen, ladies and gentlemen, with his arm out. He recognizes here, with just 3 seconds left, damn, I got to get some pressure back on the ball. So Deuce McBride is that ball pressure guy and prevents Ron Holland from getting another attempt up. So that second play from Deuce McBride was just as impressive as the first one. Right here, Deuce acknowledges with his high IQ that I've got to stop the ball, right? Gets back, and McCall also helps with the play. Quarter ends 29-30, ladies and gentlemen, and the New York Knicks are in this ball game, right? We'll start to break down where things went wrong, right? And right here, to start the second quarter, Deuce McBride is on the bench, right? So played a lot of minutes in the first quarter, and we'll break down this play here. McCullough on the ball. Deuce McBride starts the second quarter on the bench. Only a 1-point ball game. Johnny Chiba says Pistons and Celtics elite defense will have a plan for Cade. Yep. Optimus says the Pistons don't have a secondary scorer. I think Jalen Duren is going to be interesting, fam. We haven't seen him against the Knicks, but we will get a look at him sooner rather than later if we can face them in the final round, right? So this is a play where McCullough makes an error, in my opinion. So McCullough on the ball, start of the second quarter. Okay, dribble handoff, coming over the curl. OG gets stuck. So OG gets stuck on this screen from Jaden Ivey, right? What happens here? Kevin McCullough makes a mistake, in my opinion. Cat's there. Cat's in excellent position, ladies and gentlemen. He's sealing the drive off from Jaden Ivey. Now, Kevin McCullough is going to overhelp in this situation, right? OG's on his hip. Cat's preventing the drive. But Kevin McCullough here reaches into the cookie jar and is unsuccessful. And guess what happens, ladies and gentlemen? Dennis Jenkins relocates to a wide open 3-pointer, and it makes the Knicks pay, right? So Deuce McBride, first minutes off the floor early in the second. Kevin McCullough makes a rookie mistake, in my opinion. Look, you like the team helping each other out in certain situations, but this is where the Knicks can be better, I think, with their discipline, right? And this gives the Detroit Pistons some momentum as they extend the lead out to 4 points. Now we roll the next clip, ladies and gentlemen. This next clip is a positive clip, right? We're back to the action with Tyler Kolek on offense, right? Now, the key theme in success that the Knicks have had tonight with Deuce and some other guys is when they push the pace. So let's roll this one. Off a stop, Tyler Kolek pushes the break, finds Clarkson for Cat for the splash. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what you want to see. Cat with a wide open, clean, quick look in the offense for the wide open splash. All because Tyler Kolek, ladies and gentlemen, pushed the pace. Quick hockey assist and good swing from JC, Jordan Clarkson, right? Back to a 2-point ball game or back to a 3-point ball game in this scenario. No Brunson on the court and no Deuce McBride. You got McCullough, Kolek, and quite a funky rotation in this game with no Hard Alvarado, Diawara, and Shamet not playing. But this is the common theme we're going to see tonight, guys. Whenever the Knicks push the pace, they end up with an amazing look, and it most often ends in a bucket. This time it's Tyler Kolek pushing it, but also getting stops is going to be key. And look, Detroit's defense is absolutely scrambling in this one. Right. Next up, next play, Deuce McBride back in the ball game. You see the score's gotten a little bit out of hand. 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. Pistons 45 and the New York Knicks 36. So it's a 9-point deficit. 7 minutes to go. Deuce comes back in after the Detroit run. Right? Let's roll this play. Deuce McBride's on the ball. Finds Cat at the top. This one's going to halt a little bit after a sloppy dribble handoff from Karl Anthony Towns. Didn't help our mans out in Deuce, but guess what? Deuce McBride, with the elite floor spacing, finds Tyler Kolek for the open three. Right. This all kind of broke down a little bit because of that sloppy handoff here. I don't know why Cat's throwing it at Deuce's feet. Deuce catches it, he recovers quickly and finds TKO for the splash, right? And this cuts it to 6. Deuce getting over the high screen, which is also a good position, I think, for the Knicks to be setting these down screens as well. But quick thinking from Deuce deals with the ball pressure, and TKO ends up with the bucket on that one. As we roll the next clip, right? This is a push from Tyler Kolek off a stop. Deuce runs the lane, ends up with a New York Knicks 3 from Midi Macau Bridges, right? Mitchie with the rebound. Look at Kolek pushing it with purpose. Macau, splash, right? This cuts it to a 3-point ball game. Timeout Detroit. Mitch with the bound. Look at Tyler. He's not meandering. He's not pounding the rock. He's looking for a teammate with his head up immediately, right? This is where pushing the pace is more critical than even spacing. But spacing obviously helps. But I want to pause it right here. Going to pause it right here because look at Deuce McBride. He acknowledges the situation right here where Mikal is in the corner and TKO wants to push it to the strong side. So Deuce immediately cuts to the weak side at the right time, which finds Mikal for the open 3 ball, right? Timeout Detroit. So again, Deuce McBride comes back in, makes an immediate impact with a faster paced offense and some good movement from TKO. Next play, right? This is to end the second quarter. Detroit go on another run, push it back out to 10. And this is to close the second quarter. Brunson had some sloppy minutes between that point, the last clip, and this one. Brunson back in the ball game. This is another push off a make this time, and OG gets an easier bucket. Right. So Beef Stew gets the bucket. Deuce McBride pushing it off a make, pushing it with purpose. Finds OG Anunoby, attacks the closeout on Beef Stew, and OG gets the easy bucket. Right. So the Knicks got to do more of this. And Deuce McBride recognizes the situation, Immediately, the defense isn't set. Look at these four guys. They ain't even back on defense. And Deuce McBride takes advantage of the situation, finding our man's OG in a nice position to attack Isaiah Stewart. So once again, off misses and makes, it's critical that the Knicks push the break. Ironically, you see Brunson, who's had some sloppy minutes up until this point. Cat decides to give the ball to Deuce McBride. Right, you got Brunson and Deuce there. Hopefully, we're going to see more Brunson and Alvarado. But I think we're definitely going to see some more Brunson Deuce and some Deuce Alvarado. Right, because the Knicks really need those dual ball handlers, in my opinion, against the Detroit defense, not allowing it to get set and to find these guys with some easier looks. OG capitalizes on that one. Right, so we move to the third quarter now, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a blowout at this point. Deuce sees limited minutes in the third quarter. As I said, he played a lot in the first quarter, second quarter, and Deuce sees limited minutes in the third. Right, Detroit take over the game, extend that lead as the offense bogs down with JB in the third. Cat and OG only finished with 4 shot attempts in this game. So it was a pretty poor performance from Brunson as the point guard. He definitely took this matchup personally and played a lot of ISO ball. But here's where Deuce McBride makes a bigger impact in the fourth quarter, right? And obviously he's been pushing the pace as well. They start to go under the screen with Deuce McBride and Kolek. Here's with Yabul Sele. Dribble handoff. Ivy goes under the screen. And Deuce makes them pay. This one is where Tyler Kolek takes advantage but misses the shot. But I'm going to pause it right there. So I think Tyler Kolek, as you see, misses Deuce McBride. Tyler Kolek could have swung it to Deuce McBride. You see wide open in the corner. Kolek decides to pull up and misses that one. Next play, Deuce is on the ball in this one. And they go under the screen to Ron Holland in this instance. And Deuce McBride splashes his 4th-3 of the game. And the next one coming up, splash again, 5th 3 of the game from Deuce McBride. So this fourth quarter is when Deuce drops 3 of his 5 threes, and all because he makes quick decisions and he is a pull-up threat off the dribble, right? So you see the kind of game got out of hand a lot more in the third quarter. First and second quarter, the Knicks were within reach, especially in the second quarter. But yeah, funky lineups, funky minutes overall. But Deuce McBride only being a -3 in this 31-point loss in 25 minutes does highlight how impactful, the Deuce McBride is, especially on the offensive side when pushing the break, making quick decisions and pulling up from 3 and providing the spacing that we need to get our offense going, right? But look, all in all, we're not going to win the game most often without Hart, Shamet, Alvarado, and Mo Diawara out of the rotation. Each game against Detroit has been different, but this is the only game that Deuce has played in, the only game that Deuce McBride played against Detroit on the season. And that is how the story went, ladies and gentlemen. Pull up the box score once again, just to show how the game went. OG only getting 4 attempts and Cat only getting 4 attempts is definitely not what we need, right? Brunson, 10 of 21, right? Had no assists, right? No assists from Jalen Brunson in this game. Let that sink in 30 minutes. So one of Brunson's worst games on the season, -18, slowed the offense down. But we're not going to see any more Clarkson, right? He was a -14 in 19 minutes. McCullough, -17 in 16 minutes. Kolek was actually okay in this game, but defensively, he struggles against Detroit. They did attack him on the defensive side. He was -6 in his 19 minutes. Hakporidi Yabusele played some garbage time. And look, Diawara did play in garbage time as well. Mike Brown wasn't using Muhammad Diawara in the main rotation at that point. This is the game where I think he really wanted to showcase and get a look at Kevin McCullough. Kevin McCullough didn't really have, anything to write home about in his performance, minus 17, and had a couple of gritty plays where he he got a jump ball and got a deflection, but all in all, still a little bit out of sync with the offense and defense. They did attack Kevin McCullough in this one, right? As now we roll some highlights from last night's performance, man. Muhammad Diawara is the story coming out, right? Feeling confident. Mike Brown says he's one of the most confident young guys he's been around, right? You're going to leave him that open. He did not hesitate, did Mo D. And I can't wait to see him more of. He's absolutely nailed that rotation spot, in my opinion. What's up, Ala Wise? Great to see you. Johnny Chiba says, who's the playoff 9-10 now? That Deuce is back. Who gets subbed? So I think Mike Brown's probably going to go 10, in my opinion. And I do think we're probably going to see Alvarado lose a little bit of minutes. It just depends on how Deuce looks, when he's healthy. But Muhammad Diawara should play, and I think will play in a playoff rotation. I think it'll go 10. And I do think Alvarado's minutes might drop a little bit. Maybe Hart's minutes drop a little bit. We can make that call right now. If Macau's having, a tough game, you could substitute Shamet in there. You could substitute Deuce earlier. One theme about the film breakdown we just did is Deuce had some great minutes, first quarter, second quarter. I would like Mike Brown to make that earlier substitution, because you kind of got to get the pressure off of Brunson earlier in the game, fam. Brunson likes to play the entire first quarter, and I don't technically disagree with that. I like Brunson getting off to a good start. That does set the tone. But I would like Brunson to play with another ball handler earlier in the game. So what I'd do, Johnny Chiba, is I'd get Hart out of the game earlier, or Macau. If they're going to start or continue to start, I guess that's how it's going to be. But I would get Hart or Macau Bridges as one of the earlier subs. I'd get Mitchell Robinson in for a double big, and then I'd get Deuce McBride or Landry or Alvarado in sooner, fam. And then look, to start the second quarter, I'd get Mo D. Let Mo D get some serious minutes in the second quarter, and let the play develop earlier in the game. Muhammad Diawara will come in the second quarter and make a large impact. But I think Shamet, is really deserving quality minutes. I think Shamet will continue to get 18, maybe 15 to 20 minutes. In my opinion, Deuce McBride should play 25 plus. You saw in the film breakdown, pushes off of makes, he pushes off of misses. He'll counter the other team by pull-up shooting. You lose a little bit of playmaking with Deuce. He missed a couple of open guys. But long story short, Deuce plays elite defense, great getting over the picks, great getting Brunson off the ball and relieving some of the pressure, being somewhat of a decoy, is JB with Thompson draped over him. That's actually a clever way of getting Osar Thompson, into foul trouble. Because if you've got Osar Thompson, trailing the play and chasing Brunson around, Brunson's very savvy at drawing fouls that away as well, right? And look, JB can torch Osar Thompson still. He can beat any defender, but, we can't be reckless without acknowledging that Thompson does give Brunson a lot of trouble, when defending him high up the court. He's a great ball pressure kind of guy. I would love to see more Alvarado Brunson, Deuce Brunson, Shamet Brunson, and that aspect. Now, one thing we're going to talk about is the Hart Brunson dynamic. That was really good last night. You've seen a lot of pundits start to break that down in terms of Zach Lowe on the Bill Simmons pod, talking about Brunson, getting the screen from Josh Hart, and Hart also being clever, cutting to the right spots and attacking the space where the guys are leaving him wide open, using more dribble handoffs, right? Because like last night, Wemby was sagging off Josh Hart, and Josh Hart was clever getting into spots, to make them pay. He'll find the right spaces for the rebounds as well. As we bring up this great stat, man, does Mo D make all rookie? He might make all rookie second team, fam. This is the NBA's best plus minus by a rookie in year 2026. You got Con Kneppel, Hugo Gonzalez playing major minutes with Boston. You got Dylan Harper from the Spurs, and you got our Mo D at plus 76, fam. Fourth in the NBA at plus minus on the season. I think Mo Diawara, if he continues to play serious minutes over the next 20 games, he'll probably make all rookie second team. AP's in the house. No, McBride's not back. We're doing a film breakdown. Rewind if you want to check it out, of the first matchup against Detroit, where Deuce McBride was loose. He was legit. Johnny Chiba says Deuce was one of the only Knicks who followed Mike Brown's game plan of moving the ball up the court quickly, a winning plan. Yeah, you said it. Deuce McBride didn't really like Tibbs' system. He spoke about it in underlying terms. He said we were left exposed. He doesn't really like the slow, grinded out half court. One thing I like about Deuce, man, is we saw in the film breakdown, he's an alpha. He's confident in his shot. He doesn't dribble too much and hesitate. Right. He finds a moment of space. He's confident in his shot, and he'll pull up. Right. Jalen Brunson, on the other hand, right, loves to, death by 1,000 cuts, loves to get to spots, get the defense where he needs to, likes to try to shift the defense around. But at the end of the day, Deuce McBride's a different kind of player, man. He's straight to the cut to the chase, get to my spot, and kill the defense, right? Make them pay, right? We're going to roll some clips of Pacome Dardier having an excellent game with Westchester as well last night. The jumper's looking smooth. He's playing well recently. Is Pacome Dardier? We know the organization is still high on him, from what I've heard. And the shot mechanics, they are very high on Pacome too. Making it rain, getting into spots, confident little push shot under the bucket. Michael Drake says, by the way, CT yesterday, I heard that Deuce is already itching to come back, probably by March 21 to 24th. Yeah, so we do know that Deuce is shooting now. He ain't participating in full practice or anything like that. There's still ways to go. But yeah, Deuce is, on the way back, putting up shots now, working on his shot. So hopefully he comes straight in. I don't think there's going to be too much rust, because Deuce really puts in that work, right? Just like Dardier is putting in work with Westchester too, cutting and slicing. You look how big Pacome Dardier is, right? I know there's a lot of hype on Mo Diawara, and rightfully so, but there still is a ceiling for Pacome Dardier if he can get together and take a leap, right? He is a jumbo wing at 6'9" as well, right? Real size, as you see, and still a fluid athlete. Not a great athlete. I wouldn't say he's an elite athlete, but he's a very fluid athlete still, is Dardier. Only 19, 20. He basically needs to continue the dribble, tighten up the dribble, tighten up his creation, and pull up threat. But I believe in the coming years, Dardier can make a leap. He might be on the Knicks, he might not. He might be in a throw-in. But I think it's smart for the Knicks to kind of be patient and just see, players develop at different, situations, right? As we see this highlight from last night, right? Wemby not happy with Kevin McCullough touching him. Apparently he said, "Get your hands off of me." MFer, right? So Wemby was not happy, man, as the Knicks put the clamps on the Spurs last night. Now, the Knicks were at their defensive best with Karl Anthony Towns guarding Wemby. I think that's significant, right? With Karl Anthony Towns being more disciplined defensively, the Spurs shot 26% from downtown on Sunday, including 2 for 14 when Cat guarded Wemby. Wemby's minus 15 plus minus was his second worst this season, right? So let that sink in, man. The blueprint is there, man. Karl Anthony Towns, we need that more, fam. He can be impactful. He can be super impactful. As Mo D says in the locker room, on his confidence, it's at a high level. Day by day, it's growing. And Mo D says his teammates are really putting him in, great situations and keeping him real confident, right? Let's roll the highlights of all 22 turnovers from the Spurs right now, as you see Mikal Bridges get down and dirty on the floor. If you guys enjoying the stream, man, click that like button, support the channel, and subscribe. If you are new, appreciate you coming through. Michael Drake says CT in the playoffs and last game versus Detroit. Take it to Detroit. All inside game. Take the physicality to Detroit to the rim. I like, us, we're needing to match that physicality, Michael Drake. We definitely need to, be more physical. In terms of taking it more to the rack, they're going to have Beef Stew. They're going to have Jalen Duren. I would like us to be physical with their guards. Be physical with Cade, Dennis Jenkins. Be physical with Tobias Harris. And do what we did last night, which is basically here, run them off the three-point line. Right? Detroit are not a good three-point shooting team, man. We let Javonte Green shoot 4 of 6 in most of the games. That can't happen, man. We can't be letting Javonte Green get loose from downtown. And also Duncan Robinson was getting loose, Dennis Jenkins, and all of that. So no game tonight. We're breaking some film down. Off day. Welcome into the stream. And we're at it tomorrow night against the Raptors. And then the day after that, OKC, back to back. Johnny Chiba says, CT, how much time per game do Knicks lose with slowpoke JB bringing the ball up the court, dribbling into a final second shot clock? Imagine those minutes spent moving the ball to find open shots. Yeah, that's the counter to the other team's tight D. And Brunson did a better job last night. You see when he's got his legs under him. And as I said earlier in the stream, that first Detroit game, as I watched the full game, Brunson hurt his leg. I think he copped a contusion, but it was kind of slowing him down. And I think it did show in the rest of the play, in the rest of the game with Brunson. Cat only 4 shot attempts, OG with only 4 shot attempts in that first Detroit game. Right? That's never going to happen again, and it should not happen. With those guys only shooting 4 shots each. But you look as a whole, that the rotation was funky. Clarkson's not going to play again, most likely against Detroit. McCullough is not going to be playing meaningful minutes against Detroit. And TKO, whilst we'll be ready if his number's called, he's not going to play any major minutes against Detroit in the playoffs. You bring in Diawara, you bring in Alvarado, Deuce McBride comes back, and obviously Josh Hart, who missed that first game. The second game against Detroit was even more whack. There was no Cat, there was no Michi, there was no Deuce in that one, and there was no, I believe, no Mitch. Yep. So no Alvarado, no Shamet, no Mitch, and no Cat in the second game, or no OG. Sorry, it was no OG and no Mitch in the second game against Detroit. Now the third game is kind of a no excuse situation. The Knicks should have won that third game, but we all know at Madison Square Garden, the Knicks just played. The Knicks were all up in their heads. At that point. But yeah, we got to push the pace, as you guys saw with Brunny, slowing it down. We need Deuce McBride and Jose Alvarado, which did a really, really good job of pushing the break. But we've got to continue to get those stops, fam. We have some news around the league. Tyus Jones has been officially cut, waived, and bought out by the Dallas Mavericks, and the Denver Nuggets have got a great pickup. That's a great piece and a pickup, man, for the Denver Nuggets. That takes a lot of pressure off of, Jamal Murray, Tim Hardaway Jr. too. So Tyus Jones picked up by the Dallas Mavericks, big time. Yeah, this is also huge for winning the series, man. Cleaning the glass. Mitchie and Cat top 10 in the league in contested rebounds. Louis says, when Bridges plays well, we win. Yep, 100% agree. But you could say that about a lot of our guys too. OG, when he plays well, we usually win as well. Johnny Chiba says, CT, what's the answer to perimeter D? One of the Knicks' weaknesses where every other opponent's role player goes wild from three. Like we saw last night, Johnny Chiba, you got to run them off the line, but you got to get back in transition quickly. And I think it's key when we have our legs under us. Those 3 games in 4 nights, that's a real thing. That's a real, tough situation for the Knicks. In the playoffs, we're not going to see that, which is good. And I do think, fighting over the screens, either switching quickly and making the right switch and everyone on a string. We saw that against Boston. So the Knicks are capable of doing it, but they've just got to really lock in. We switched everything against Boston. That can keep some shooters in front of us, but then there'll be mismatch hunting. That's what Cade sort of tries to do best. When I was watching some of the film, Cade was really looking to try to exploit Brunson with Thompson on him. So one thing we do got to be mindful of with playing Detroit is they do mismatch hunt a lot, similar to Joe Mazzulla, and those other boys, fam, too. Yeah, we had Wemby. We had Cat with his 16,000 career points. But what a dominant display last night, man. As we get ready for tomorrow night, I think we'll beat Toronto. And then I think the OKC game, dependent if Mitch plays or not. NYC says, Deuce, Shamet, Diawara, GTA adds to the defense. Absolutely, great point. We haven't seen Deuce and GTA yet. I think Shamet's so underrated. His ability to fight and scrap and his ball pressure is elite as well. So we got the Soldiers, man. I think we should be favorites against Detroit if we can both get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Bricks Nation says, CT, I've been MIA, but ready to gear up for the remainder of the season. Let's go, Knicks. Salute Bricks Nation. Let's get it. Big end to the season for the New York Knicks, man. I think we'll be in the finals. I think we do. Gonna get there. Our depth is looking good. Shamet very solid, says Louis Cypher, 33. Yeah, look, Shamet's been just a great, role player that can play up to his minutes, comes in, makes an impact immediately. And what a throwdown, man, putting De'Aaron Fox on the poster. NYC, OG, Diawara, Bridges, Harden, Shamet just need to stay in front of their man. Yeah, we might not even need Sohan too much if we can keep them close in a half-court grind. I think that's the key to beating Detroit. Don't let them get out quickly because, they got some razzle-dazzle with them with Dennis Jenkins, once Tobias, Ron Holland, they start to do their thing. That can really get the crowd fired up. We do have to play great defense in transition and slow them down into a half-court set. Yeah, and then I'm not worried about them beating us 4 games out of 7. See, the way I think of the playoff series going against some of these teams, right? People keep thinking about, and this is especially neutrals and haters, They look at the Knicks thinking, yeah, the Knicks are inconsistent. How are they going to beat Detroit? I'm thinking it the other way around, fam. These guys need to explain how Detroit is going to beat us 4 out of 7. How is a Boston going to beat the Knicks 4 out of 7? Right? We are phenomenally deep and a very talented team that you've got to beat 4 out of 7. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks have the weapons on any given night, but you've got to beat us 4 out of 7. And I think any series against Detroit, and it's going to go 6 or 7. It's going to be a grind. Johnny Chiba with a follow-up. When good teams pass the ball around the horn, they eventually find the open man from 3. Yeah, that's where, running them off the line is key to get them off their rhythm. Cade is a smart point guard. He'll look for, mismatches. He'll look for his shooters in Duncan Robinson as well. But yeah, Tobias has killed us too. So we need Josh Hart to really play good defense, right? I think it's a good barometer. People talk about Bridges, OG. If Josh Hart plays well, we usually win. We could do a Josh Hart film breakdown, later into the season as well on an off day. We might do that because they're going to sag off of Josh Hart. What he does is critical, whether he starts, comes off the bench, or whatever the case. I think with Josh Hart, it's just super, super critical. And, in terms of making them pay, right? But yeah, that's it for tonight's stream, man. Pleasure to do this with y'all in the breakdown. Shout out to Replay Squad as well. I thought, let's just rewind and take a look at Deuce McBride's only performance against Detroit and see what we're missing. And him and Alvarado coming back. The Knicks need to play faster pace, right? That's the remedy for these defenses trying to clamp us down. Jalen Brunson is still stuck in the Thibodeau offense right now. We need to get out and run, man. Turn on the Jets. We've got the depth now to go 10 or 11 or 12 deep. No excuses, Mike Brown. No excuses to any of these guys hesitating, man. Cat has to shoot more than 5 attempts. And OG Anunoby needs to get the ball as well. So that is that, fam. Pace is critical. Will get us into our 3-point rhythm and will allow us to put pressure on the other club, right? The thing is about Detroit, right? If these other teams are good defenders, you want to make them work. Move them around, push the break. Don't be scared of their physicality, man. Get them into foul trouble. Do all of that. And I'm ready, man, for the Knicks to lift their play when the playoffs come, man. We are full of playoff risers. You're looking at Mikal Bridges, right? He's a quintessential playoff riser because he's dealing with the aches and pains of playing for 8 seasons in a row without missing a single game. But when the playoffs come, he turns all that away and he turns it up. And he's not worried about physicality and all that when all the marbles are on the line when it comes to that. So yeah, hot potato it was lit yesterday. It says Bricks, Michael Drake, everyone salute in the chat. And we'll see you tomorrow night, post-game live, when the Knicks hopefully get the big dub over the Raps. Peace.